All right, guys, we are live with a very special guest, draft prospect, former UCLA defensive end slash linebacker, Oluwafemi Oladejo in the building.
Was
And I'm
Hannon.
really excited to get into this conversation. We're going to talk all things NFL draft process, how he got here, and where we think he's going. But you guys already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat, smash that like button, and we're going to get into a great conversation right after this. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Let's go. We got the Sourdough Squad welcoming in our very special guest. Man, I could see you got the UCLA field back behind you. You getting ready for the draft, working out, doing all that good stuff? What you been doing these days as the draft is less than a month away?
Yeah, man, I think just staying in shape, making sure I'm taking care of my cardio, making sure I'm taking care of my strength, mobility, stretching, core, just being a great athlete overall. And, I'm done with school now, so being able to develop into things that I want to, get into in my future and things like that.
Absolutely. I got a question for you based on kind of like training. Does it change? Do you have like a certain process for combine training? And then as that is over, you kind of shift gears to more training for on-field stuff. Is that something that's real for you guys?
100%. So for me, I trained in Dallas, Texas. I was there the last 3 months up until 3 weeks ago. So when I first got there, I was training, yes, for the combine, but also the Senior Bowl. So with that being said, I had a lot of more training on the field as well with a personal trainer who was a D-line specialist. After the Senior Bowl, it was more so, okay, really combine focused. Still doing on the field things and the drills on at the combine, but it wasn't as focused as much as getting prepared for a season. So now I'm back to that regimen.
Awesome. So I kind of want to jump in, kind of start with the beginning of your process and then kind of lead up to where we're at now. So you're a Cali kid, right? You
Cali,
grew up Sacramento, right?
back
Elk Grove
down.
area.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. And then of course you stayed in California, going to Cal, transferring to UCLA. So got that Cali blood in you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask, if you don't feel comfortable answering, don't worry. Any chance you grew up a 49er fan being in this area? And if it's the Raiders, it's okay. That's okay as well. And if it's neither, that's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep that on the low. I'll keep that
Yeah,
personal for right now just because of the process that we in.
of course. That makes a lot of sense. So I want to talk about that process for you, going to Cal and then being able to go to UCLA. Do you feel like going through the transfer portal, going to from one kind of program to another, having to reestablish yourself, learn new teammates, new coaching staff? Do you feel like that helps you in this process, kind of in like preparing you for that next level of knowing what it's like, or like what you have to do when you land in a new place?
Nah, 100%. I definitely think it helped me out. I think not even just in football, but in life, just how to be pliable and flexible and adaptable to new surroundings, new environments, new people even. So I think it definitely helped me and it shaped me to be who I am in this current moment.
Absolutely. And a big part of kind of your college process was about transitioning. So, like, you went from playing off ball linebacker, at Cal, and then even up until your final year at UCLA, you started 2 games at linebacker. And then I'm assuming your coach came to you and was like, listen, we need you at edge. This is what's best for our team. What did that conversation look like for you? And like, How did you approach that when a coach came to you said, "Hey, we might need you on a position that maybe you haven't played or been super comfortable at?"
Yeah. So it happened after the Indiana game, which was the second week of the season, and going into season, we already kind of knew that our linebacker room was the most stacked position on the team. So it was therefore, okay, how can we get the most linebackers on the field? But after the Indiana game, we took a tough loss, and going into practice on Tuesday, Coach Malloy, our defensive coordinator, I just spoke to him. He came up to me and was like, "Hey, we want to put your edge this week and see how it goes." And I was fired up for it, honestly. I had no problem with it. Funny enough, at the end of the previous year, my junior year, in my head, I was like, man, I might, be an edge player just because of how heavy I was. I was
Okay.
250. I was 256 at Mike, 257 at Mike, and I could do it, but it's not that day and age anymore. Fair
Right.
Warner's 223, 225, maybe 230, approximately, right? So, going down the edge, it was kind of a week by week thing, and just continue to progress, and now we're here.
So did you feel like that when you made that move of going to being standing up to putting your hand in the dirt, going head up against tackles? What was like the biggest learning curve there? Because obviously you're rushing off the edge, you're taking on double teams, you're setting the edge in the run game, you're taking on pullers. What is there much of a difference, or did you feel like, man, this is a natural process
It
for
was,
me?
it was, it, for the most part, it was very natural. The most natural thing was actually playing the run. That
Okay.
was bread and butter to me. I felt like just use the big body I had and don't get moved and move them instead. I was the biggest transition for me, and it wasn't huge, but it was different. It was just pass rushing, learning different sets and learning when to throw this move and when not to. And I think a part of me just had a motor that was a relentless motor. That was kind of my mindset. So as I've transitioned, even I think the Senior Bowl showed a flash of it. Just continuously improving on my pass rush, and that's just gonna come with the reps on the field, reps with the coaches, and reps with the players. So I feel very comfortable at the edge and versatile.
Do you feel like your experience at off-ball linebacker transitioning to kind of more of a pass rush mentality? Obviously, you said that it was like hand glove fit for run fits because that's what you were doing all day, right? You're reading,
Yeah.
reacting, keying on the offensive lineman, and then you're fitting that gap. So when it goes to, all right, now we got to throw a pass rush move, are you feeling like you're really understanding what these tackles are trying to do, right? Because they're trying to get to their set. That you mentioned the different sets that they have, and now they're kind of baiting you sometimes. They're kind of throwing
Mhm.
that hand out, trying to get you to initiate your pass rush move. Are you seeing that whole plan? And is your pass rush plan? Do you feel really confident with where you're at now, opposed to, let's say, week 2, week 3
Oh,
of playing in college
100%.
football?
100%. And like I just mentioned, I think the Senior Bowl tape shows you that. Just the knowledge that I've learned and the development I've had, not just physically but also mentally, knowing what tackles want to do and looking at their splits. If their stance is more here, probably a vertical set. If it's more anchored, maybe an angle set, things like that. So it's definitely developed, and I feel a lot more confident with where I'm at currently. But obviously, there's always still room to grow.
Of course, of course. And I mean, it was pretty cool because you make that switch in the middle of the season, which honestly, you asked me, that's a crazy move. Going from a player that plays in space, obviously you're a box guy, but going from that off ball to on the line of scrimmage, that is a huge jump. But it clearly worked. You had 13 and a half tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. And at the end of the year, you were awarded the team's most outstanding defensive lineman. So did that really just kind of solidify, like, all right, you said, like, I already had it in my mind that I was probably going to be headed towards that direction. Did that just solidify, like, yeah, I can do this, and not only can I do this, but I can excel like at the next level?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So I think honestly, the first game I played against LSU, that game showed me I could do it. Because like I mentioned, the game plan was just a weak thing, and we played LSU. We lost. It was a close game, but it showed that there was a lot of potential. The next game was Oregon. Oregon was it was okay, it wasn't the best, and then boom, Penn State. That's when I knew okay, I can actually excel at this game at edge. So I would say third week of playing the edge. That's when I knew I could actually do this. So yeah.
And it's pretty crazy because you ultimately earn the Senior Bowl invite, and we know what you did at the Senior Bowl. like that's why I called you one of the biggest risers out of this class, is because
Appreciate
I didn't really, I wasn't familiar with your game, kind of like that Shaq meme. And
yeah.
then after that week, I was like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? I got to learn more. And so what was your mindset and maybe some of your goals heading into that week? Like when you're talking about mental and physical preparation and knowing that you're going to be in front of coaches, scouts, general managers,
Head
and
coaches.
all of
Yeah, great question. The mindset, if I'm gonna be very blunt, it was just to dominate. That was literally the word that me and my agent came up with, and I'm with Kenny Zuckerman, Priority Sports. Shout out to him. We just had a mindset to go out there and dominate, man, to solidify that I'm an edge. Because I think some people were questioning, okay, it's raw talent, maybe it's flukish, maybe he just had a few good games. Like I don't know. So
right.
the mindset was to shut all the narratives up and just dominate that edge. And I'm very grateful to God, man. I thought I did a good job, and yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was pretty fun to watch because for me, when I was, I do a lot of content, obviously, but I also like to get to scout a little bit, do a little
Yeah,
evaluation.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie, man. You stood out to me in day one of the warm up line, in sense of like I could kind of sense your energy,
Hmm.
and then throughout the week, it was like, oh, this guy seems like a real legit energy guy. Is that a big part of your game and how you go about? You mentioned relentless motor. That's a energy. I think a correlation to energy. Do you feel like energy leadership? That's something that's just inherent in who you are.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I think like some people ask me where I get it from or where I got it from. I think it's been a mix and variety of things since my childhood. From
Mhm.
watching guys like Ray Lewis or Patrick Willis, LeVar Bowman. I had a chance to talk to him last week. Um, and then Brian Dawkins, and then my coaches in my life, Ken Norton Jr. That was a Niner. He was my
Yeah.
coach. So being able to be on the field with him every day, like it just kind of, and I already had energy when I met him, but it just instilled
Right.
more in me. And it helps you get the best out of people. It helps you to push people. But then once you give energy, you yourself have to match that energy. So I think it's just very it's kind of a cheat code. You know what I'm saying? If I'm fired up, I have no option but to go on the field and dominate. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now, and so you spoke to Ray Lewis. You've been able to chop it up,
No,
or
no,
more
no.
so just like looking at him from
Yeah, and look
afar.
at a lot of like YouTube. I mean, YouTube has everything. I look at all his motivational speech before games. I still watch the same motivational video to this day. I watched it what's today, Monday, Saturday night. Do a little workout real quick too. It just gets me going. But what's crazy, speaking of, is I'm actually in contact with his mentors, and I'm supposed to
Okay.
get time with them tomorrow. Actually, at UCLA, my former strength coach, who has a lot of energy himself, got me connected. Keith Belton. He's now with the Dallas Mavericks, so he got me connected and plugged in. So I think I am supposed to meet him here in the next few weeks, which would be very, very cool.
Well, I love it too because I had the opportunity to shoot some of the Senior Bowl, and one of my favorite shots is you coming
Ah,
out of the tunnel.
ah,
Yeah, dude. I was like, bro, with the smoke and like it
yeah,
kind of looked like snow a little bit, and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
bust out the Ray Lewis. I was like, oh, like I already liked you enough, and then I was like, all right, signed, sealed, and delivered. How do we get this guy to become a Niner? Like this is crazy. Like
Man,
what?
what's so funny? So, I'm really grateful I was able to start the game, and they had the first 11 starters come out of the tunnel. And they told me I was the last one.
Yeah.
And man, like in the tunnel, I was just playing around, like what I'm gonna do. I'm not just gonna run out, give it a little of this. And I
Yeah.
was playing around with the raid, and I didn't really hit it right. I was playing around with it, And I was like, nah, I ain't gonna hit it. Like, I ain't even gonna do it. And then boom, last minute they called my name, and I just kind of flowed, and
Yep.
I did it, and it looked pretty cool. Yeah, that video tough for sure.
Dude, it was so fire. Like I was like, right when you went into it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a phenomenal shot. And like this is shot on
Yeah,
my cell phone right here. Um, like it was it, and again, it to me, it spoke to kind of what we saw all week from you. Energy, energy, energy. And then you go on the game and you have 2 sacks. Like, how did you feel at the end of it? All said and done, you got through it, you got through your interviews, you went and did what you had to do on the field. Were you like, was that another just huge confidence booster? And like,
nah,
yeah,
100%,
I know
100%.
that.
Yeah. So and then even going back to your previous question, the Senior Bowl is the best of the best,
Right.
right? So I'm doing what I'm doing against the best of the best.
Hmm.
That only sparks my confidence to a whole nother level, And then considering, the game, they said that game that we had might have been one of the best games ever in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was crazy.
because it was a really good game, man. It was 19-8. Or it was 8-8 at halftime. We went up 19-8. They came back and won game winning play, and Jake Beck obviously had a great catch, and it was an honor for his
Yeah.
brother. I can't be mad at that, But it was just a dope moment, man. The whole week chilling with the guys, getting to meet great people from all across the country, build relationships that I'm still, linking up with today and things like that. So. But when it was all said and done, man, I just had a spirit of gratitude. I was just grateful, man, just for the opportunity. My family was at the game. So you were at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah,
You were there,
I was on the field. Yeah.
down it. Oh yeah, was you recording?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay, that's why you look familiar. That makes sense. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I
But
got you.
there was a play. I didn't really make the play, but there was a read option. Jalen Monroe, he had a read option, and I got back there quick, and I had the running back. But it corrupted the whole play. Jalen got like 3 yards. Um, but I was able to punt it to my family in the stands because I was just vibing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was just a great time overall. The meetings, the people I met, the wisdom I learned, the knowledge that people gave me, and things like that. So great experience overall.
So you mentioned knowledge, and that's awesome. I'm glad you had a great time. Like again, your energy is infectious. You could see it from a mile away. So it's cool that you were able to experience that with your family and be able to, again, I mean, we know that this game is so mental. Like, of course,
Hmm.
we hyper focus on the physical elements, and that's extremely important. But I'm
Yeah.
sure and you can speak to it more than anyone. When you get to that next level, it's almost like who's better up here? Like who
Yeah.
can manage the ups and downs? Who can, like you mentioned, scheming up your pass rushers, like gaming them up. Like, all right,
Yeah.
I want to get them thinking I'm hitting outside speed, and then boom, we're gonna hit a little inside counter move, like inside spin or something. Um, do you feel like that's a something that you really are honed in on, just the mental aspect of it?
100%. I mean, I believe, might not be right, but I believe it's an 80-20 balance. 80% mental,
100%.
20% physical. Because I think, like you mentioned, how can you go through ups and downs? A lot of people, when things get down, they go down. Their whole demeanor does. And I think I talked about Relentless Motor. There's a book called Relentless by Tim Grover. He was the trainer of Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan. And it just talks about how having a relentless mindset can take you so far in life. And I feel like a lot of guys have a relentless body and a relentless, drive, but not the mindset. So I believe there's a lot of power to the mind. I mean, it drives your physical. So I think it's
Well,
very important.
it and drives improvement as well, and that's the thing. It's like I think that's why there's two rules of thought. I think when it comes to a player like you who is new to a position.
Hmm.
Oh well, can he really do it at the
Yeah,
next level?
yeah, yeah,
And then there's the other mindset where it's like, look what he's doing now. Just wait. Just wait until he's got 2-3 years of just relentless work, relentless effort, and mindset. And again, if you have that with the physical tools, I think those were the players that teams would love to have. So I'm really excited about like learning more about who you are as a player. I'm a big fan. That's why I like doing these interviews with guys. It's just like who are like how do you think? How do you process information? And it sounds like yeah, you got a bright future ahead of you. But you also mentioned kind of like learning and interacting with certain people at the Senior Bowl. Obviously, there's one pretty strong 49ers tie that you got to work with all week, and that's
KJ Wright.
KJ Wright,
Yeah.
Super Bowl winner. Obviously coaching with the San Francisco 49ers right now, but it was funny. I was just looking at KJ's profile. I'm like, oh, he's like 6'3", 250.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of the same size as you.
Yeah.
And now he was coaching edge, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so he's a former linebacker coaching
Edge
edge.
coach.
That's an interesting parallel. Watching you two guys interact all week. What was that experience and like building that relationship with KJ?
Yeah. So I'll take you back a little bit. So KJ obviously played for the Seahawks.
Right.
Now KJ's coach was actually Ken Norton Jr.
Okay.
So who was my coach my junior
Right.
year. So the moment I found out that KJ was the edge coach, I was in Dallas training. I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then boom, he gives me a call a few hours later. And due to the fact that we both have the same coach who was full of energy and comedy, we just had a natural click and a natural mesh. And that led into meeting in person. And then meeting in person was very natural and just talked about life. And he's a big man of faith as well. So we connected about that and connected about his story and his upbringing and how he won and played 12 years in the league, I believe. So it was just overall great. We've been in contact as recently as well. So great dude. Much respect for him.
Dude, it was pretty fun because like it felt like, and this just could be me seeing things, but it felt like you, David Walker, the Central Arkansas edge as well, and KJ, like you guys are kind of bunch up every once in a while. I was like, I like this little trio right here. I really like these three.
Yeah. Now that being in that D line room was so funny. Just great vibes. The whole week was incredible, man. The interactions, being able to compete. And it's funny because like the old linemen we're going against, they're our teammates. On Saturday we all on one team now, so it was just funny being able to talk smack and laugh and joke and things like that, but at the same time, play to win together as a team.
Absolutely. Was there an offensive lineman that you felt like, all right, this guy, I don't know, for whatever reason, this guy's gonna have a future in the NFL. This is a guy giving me some problems this week. A guy that's helping me get better, kind of elevate my game a little bit. Was there any offensive lineman that stood out to you?
No, no, not really. I mean, respectfully, but I think every lineman there does have a future. Every lineman there is
Of course.
is there for a reason. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, less than a month away. What's we talked about you're doing the work, the physical work. What's the mindset shift? Like where are you at kind of locking in, getting ready for arguably what's going to be one of the biggest days of your life when you hear your name getting drafted, because you're going to get drafted. There's no way if you go undrafted, the league's broken. I'm gonna do something. I don't know, but like what is that mindset like for you now that you're closing in on that?
Yeah, I think it's the number one thing is to not get complacent, to not get satisfied. I've been writing down recently like the biggest enemy of greatness is complacency. Obviously, it's good. The enemy of great is good, but I believe it's also
Okay.
complacency. So, just trying to have that mindset and even take it up a notch higher. From what even got me here, to find ways to continuously improve on the field, but also off the field. My personal life, my faith, my spirituality, my mentorship, and my guidance. Being a better son, being a better brother, finding ways to develop. I want to get into real estate one day and training. So just things that continue to help me to grow. I've had a theme. It's a scripture in the Bible, it's Psalm 84, verse 7. It just talks about from going from strength to strength. So I'm trying to find ways to go from strength to strength as well in life in general. So
Oh, dude, I love that. I love everything about it. And obviously, I guess your pre-draft process isn't over.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
So I know there are going to be some local pro days, some visits you'll be doing. Is there any chance that you'll be making your way up to San Francisco for either the local pro day or a visit with the team?
No, I don't think so. So we just interviewed last week. Now the thing about me is I don't qualify for the local pro day.
Oh, dang!
Yeah, I don't qualify, and no 30. I don't think we're gonna do 30 visits. We've met a lot. I was with Coach KJ. We've met at the
Right,
combine, met
right,
at the
right.
Senior Bowl, had a forum at the combine, and then another interview. So I think they know all about me already.
Yeah,
So I
that's
don't
fair.
think we're gonna have a visit. But hey, you're right though. The process is this April's about to be crazy for me. So just just gotta stay locked in and stay faithful. So yeah.
Yeah, because I would imagine you're going to be flying in and out a lot of different places, doing a lot of different things. So again, it's that balance, right? Of
Yeah.
being mentally locked in, physically locked in, being able to do all that stuff. Are there any like pregame things that you do, like you feel like you got to lock in, or you got to listen to this one song, or anything? Like, what does your pregame look like?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a super superstitious dude. I
Yeah,
kind of just
a
flow
little,
with not it's not superstitious. Maybe a little stitious, yeah.
a little
But
stiff.
I'll get on the plane or not the plane. The bus when we're on the way to the stadium. I'll throw on a little gospel, maybe some worship. At the
Okay,
same time, I'm watching some either a film or some highlights. I might watch like all time greats highlights from Michael Parsons or like I think
okay,
it's called play films, NFL play films. I might watch the sack highlights of the previous week in the NFL and just get vision of what I might do. I step off the bus, still got maybe Christian rap, gospel, R&B, Afro beats maybe, and then I get in the locker room, sit down for a little bit, might put a towel over my head and just relax, chill, calm before the storm.
yeah, yeah.
Then I walk out on the field. Might switch to some hip hop and rap. Might keep the gospel. Just depends on how I'm feeling. But that's usually the routine. And then I come back, take care of my body, talk to my teammates, visualize myself making plays, and then bring it to reality.
Absolutely. Is there a specific player that you typically watch? Is it Micah, or is it just pretty much anyone who's out there wrecking havoc from the
Yeah,
edge?
just like a habit. It's usually a combination of just all the sacks from the previous week in the NFL. So
Okay,
it'll just
yeah.
be all the top sacks, top guys. If I do, might put on some Khalil Mack or
Ooh, that's
Micah or Bosa or just guys who have been leading the sack or the league in sacks for a few years.
absolutely. Kind of want to really quickly hone back in on some technical aspect. Would you consider yourself more of a power edge or a finesse edge or a combo?
I was gonna say a combo. Now I know on my tape I've done a lot of finesse, but I'm a powerful guy. The reason it took me so
Right.
long to figure it out is I didn't really know how to use power. Like I've heard it just took time, but I believe my strength is actually my power, which is gonna set up
Okay.
which is gonna set up the finesse. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Speed to power too.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, I like that. We got one question coming in. He says, "Top Dog or LA Street Tacos? Go to meal."
Top dog. I've never been to either actually. My
Do you have
apologies.
do you have like a post game meal, or is it just kind of like just give me food?
Uh, yeah, I'm real frugal, man. I'll take whatever the team gives us. Even I'm not with the team, but I'm still gonna get food from the facility. Why not? It's down the street. Save my money. I ain't tripping.
Heck yeah, man. Well,
Mhm.
anyways, dude, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but this was a phenomenal conversation. And again, just I appreciate your time. I know the people in the chat are loving the insight, loving what you have to say. And I think, just really connecting the actual person
Yeah.
with what we see on film and on, when you're actually out there, making money, doing all that stuff that you do from the edge. So, dude, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. You can drop out a little bit. We're gonna do a little chatting in here, but
Cool.
I know you got some food to eat,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you so much, dude. Thank you so much for your time.
Nah, vice versa, man. Appreciate you, bro, for having me on, and shout out to the Bay, faithful baby.
Absolutely. Hopefully, we'll see you in the Bay in about a month or so. But hey, we'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll
Anything
see.
can happen. You already
We'll
know.
see. All right, much love. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good one. All right, that is Oluwafemi Oladejo. All right, like I knew he was gonna be, cool, but damn, he's cool. Uh, you guys already know I was a big Oladejo guy, but now I couldn't even be any higher. The mindset, the mental makeup, we already know that he is quote unquote a raw prospect. Um, but you take into account that aspect of it, the ability to, I mean, the way he's wired, we talk about it all the time, right? We talk about it all the time. The hardest thing to scout is the person when it comes to determining, are these guys going to make it in the NFL? Are they going to last a long time in the NFL? I got money. Who am I going to bet? Because I got money that Oladejo is going to be a better pro than probably what his college production suggested. I think the sky's the limit for that guy. So shout out to him for coming on. And again, it sounds like he's had a healthy dose of interacting with the San Francisco 49ers. Sounds like him and KJ. See, that's one of the great things about the Senior Bowl and having some coaches that are a part of that. You heard about what they were able to talk about. They were able to get like, into like life outside of football, just really be able to feel like and understand what makes the person tick. And he's like, man, I don't even think I need to go on a visit to the San Francisco 49ers because I've met them so many times and discussed with them so many times across this process that he's like, they know me, they know who I am. So all right, let me ask you in the chat, yes or no. Do the San Francisco 49ers need to draft Oluwafemi Oladejo in the top 100? Yes or no? I'm almost at the point where it's got to be almost top 75. And pretty soon I might be at the point where it's like, oh, it's top 50 for this guy. I mean, thankfully there is a loaded, to me, the meat of this draft between like 150 and like 30 is a lot of quality players. So if this is the thing, man, if you believe in a guy, like if you truly believe in someone and you look at that guy, you've had the interviews, you understand that he's still learning the position, he's developing, there's still a pathway to go, but he's made of the right stuff. He seems like to me he's pick 75 material, but the 49ers, they might really consider it. They might consider that 43. I think of 43 like they did Renardo. I don't think a lot of people really thought Renardo Green was a second round prospect. You guys know I was super high on Renardo Green. So when they took him in the second, I was thrilled. They called Renardo Green the biggest reach in the draft. You can honestly make the case for this guy in the second round. You can. I mean, you can probably try your best to wait until 75. I would say 75 to 100 would be the sweet spot for him. But they're going to have that hard conversation. If they're like, we want him at 75, it might be a sweat. It might be a sweat to see if he can make it to 75, and or maybe what they do is if they have intel that he won't make it to 100, then they try to determine where they think he'll go, and then you take 75 and maybe you jump up a couple picks just to make sure no one jumps you and make sure you go get your guy. So maybe the sweet spot right now is 75 and look to take that pick and package it up to maybe the 60s and try to snag him because I don't know. I don't know if he. I think he's going to go between 43 and 75. So you have to determine where do you want to take this guy. I hope the 49ers take him, man. I know we talk about him a lot, and we might be blowing up the spot a little bit with him. But I hope we can if we can get him in the 60s, early 60s. I think that's why when we talk about trade back, if the San Francisco 49ers trade back from 11 and somehow acquire a pick in the 50s or 60s, that is your Oladejo pick. I think is you try to take advantage of who slides out to 43. You take that guy because there might be someone that you're not expecting there. And then if you trade back, you try to obtain a pick 50 or 60 with the notion of taking Oladejo there so that you can get your first round pick, the guy of great value in the second, and then you get the guy that you want to bet on in that third pick. And I don't know. I'm scheming. I'm trying to figure out how do we get this guy onto the San Francisco 49ers because he's awesome. Silent says ability to make the switch mid-season bodes well. That's what I'm saying, man. He didn't train all off season to be an edge. No, they came to him after week 2 and said, "We need you to switch to edge." In the final year of his campaign at UCLA, and he goes out and wins the Defensive Lineman of the Year award awarded by the UCLA Bruins, that's pretty cool, man. That is pretty cool. So I'm a big fan of that guy. He's probably right now one of the most mocked players that I have. And yeah, I like that too. He low-key has some 49er ties. Also some Raider ties. I like how you 49er fan. He's like, I prefer not to say. We'll speculate up until this time, but again, it doesn't matter who you're a fan of. It really doesn't, because you're a fan of the team that drafts you. That's all that matters. But I do like the fact that he has the Ken Norton connection. He tied that in to the KJ Wright connection. Ken Norton coached KJ Wright, which is crazy. So that's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool situation. Again, great. I really like his story. And on top of his story, I think he's built I think he's built the right way. He has the physical tools, in my opinion. I really like what he said at the end. He's like, I'm still figuring out how to use my power. And he's like, power to me is my strength. If you watched him at the Senior Bowl, he was winning with speed off the edge. Like, he's fast. Like, he has great burst, get off. Like, he can beat you off the edge. But he's like, I think my strength is my power. And he hasn't really been able, I want to say he hasn't been able to showcase that yet, but like, he still said that is something he's learning. The ability, the technique involved with that, the leverage, setting up your power, setting up your speed. So that's the thing. It's like, this guy, we don't know what he is yet. That's the beauty of these types of prospects, is they will most likely be better pros than they were college players. And I know for some people, it's really hard to like rationalize that. Like, how are you a better pro player than you were in college? Well, it's like, look at Kittle. Kittle clearly is a better pro player than he was in college. He wasn't a slouch in college, but what did Kittle have? I think he had less than 800 receiving yards over 4 years in college. He's one of the more prolific tight ends we've ever seen in the NFL. So, he strikes me as one of those guys. He strikes me as he is going to be a significantly better pro, just because he's going to develop. And that's the thing. You get him with Chris Kosuric playing that wide 9, with Bosa, who is a power merchant. That's what I'm saying, dude. I know you guys have seen, clips that we have from like training camp and stuff like that. He's always coaching up his guys. Like, he's teaching them how to take advantage, of offensive linemen's wrists, using the power to, forklift these guys. If you want to learn power from someone, it's Nick Bosa. So, dude, Oladejo really has, to me, he strikes me as the sky is the limit type prospect. Like, there's some untapped potential there. I think he's going to be, I think he might be a special player. So, I don't know. Could be bias. Could not be bias. I don't know. But he is, yes. John Lynch, if you're checking in from the owners' meetings, please draft this guy. Please draft him. This guy's solid. Where is he projected to go? It depends on I think what platform you use. I could show you where he's ranked currently. If we look at his rankings, I got it pulled up right here. Hold on. So he's going to get knocked because hasn't even played a full season at edge, obviously, which is kind of what we talked about. But this is where his rankings are currently at. His highest ranking is currently at 68th by ESPN. And then his lowest is 140 by PFF. And honestly, PFF's rankings are not good. So that even kind of gives me more confidence that he should be ranked higher. So I'm going to say, like I said, I think the sweet spot could ultimately end up being 75, but they need to, and it sounds like he's going to be on the road. Sounds like he's going to be making a lot of visits here. Sounds like he's going on a lot of top 30 trips. So sounds like there's interest. So he is a player who will be higher on real boards than media boards, for sure. Who played better under Chris? One All-Pro? Well, one All-Pro doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only measure of playing good under Chris. I think if you go all the way back, I thought Ronald Blair overperformed for what he was. I thought and I'm thinking of more backup guys. I mean, if you want to talk, Eric Armstead had his best years of his career under Chris Kosurik. Kerry Hyder, Arden Key, Charles O'Menahue. I think of DJ Jones. DJ Jones got paid after playing for Chris Kosurik. I mean, there's a lot of guys who have played well under Chris. I think the only problem was, like last year, they didn't have good DTs. They didn't have. I don't think they've had the right DTs for a while now. So I don't measure a coach's worth by how many All-Pro players he outputs. But they've had some good players. And you think of like Evan Anderson, the way he played well in spots too. So yeah, I think Chris is fine. I think people have kind of overreacted to last year just based on their defensive line depth. Like I was throwing up red flags left and right all offseason about their defensive line. I was not too particularly confident in their defensive line after free agency last year, and they didn't address it in the draft. And I was like, okay. Because if you guys don't recall, my final mock draft was a defensive end and a defensive tackle, and people like destroyed me for it. But the problem is I can see into the future. I knew they needed more defensive line help than what they were going into. So I don't know. I just didn't love what they built. And it's clearly substantially worse headed into this year. So man, we're gonna see what happens, dude. We're gonna see how it goes. But that was a fun one. Seems like feels like the hive is buzzing for Oluwafemi Oladejo. What would you agree? Is the hive buzzing? I think the hive is buzzing for sure. Well, I appreciate everyone's Oh yeah, it is officially draft month tomorrow. I appreciate everyone's contributions to the chat. Again, I really do view player interviews as a community thing. Obviously, I'm asking the questions, but your guys' energy in the chat is huge. And so I appreciate everyone always making our guests feel welcome. It's a huge part of it. So don't think that you don't have an impact on how these interviews and streams go. Your guys' comments are always a huge boost to what we got cooking out here. So appreciate you guys in the chat. Appreciate everyone who contributed to this one. And we got one more. We got one more this week, but I got a couple more in the works too. I think you can kind of see a theme here. I'm gonna be trying to bring on some of my favorite prospects in this class. So that's all my that's the only clue that I'm going to give for our next interview on Wednesday. It's one of my favorite players in this class. So it's the only clue you get. Appreciate you all. Smash that like button. If you haven't already, I appreciate you guys. And I'm out of here for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see you.